Okay, right. I was going to check something. I still haven't checked it. I thought that was the point of all that nonsense, was to go check it. Right. Ah, okay, there it is. Okay, I might be able to put that over there. Just over there. This over here. Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay. Welcome. Now, I'm going to buck the trend, which is to normally record things in sequential order for me, chronologically, so that I can actually introduce it, then go on to the second thing and the third thing if there's any more detail that's required. This time, however, because of the fact this morning I woke up, I was late, middle of the night basically, and I came up and I puzzled over how to use this, okay? And rather foolishly, I've used my whiteboard and written it all up, and I'm recording it now, even though I haven't done an introduction. You might have seen the introduction, which I'm going to do later, for me, relative to me, but for you, you've already seen it. And actually, that's why you're looking at this, because it's like, it was so good. You know that my future presentation about Sqale is so good that you decided to come and watch it. This, a bit more detail. I'm not sure if this is true actually, but yeah. Okay, it's a kind of standalone thing as well, so it's explorative, all right? As everything that I do is explorative. Now we've developed this system for you to be able to evaluate, to value a specific product or project, okay? You can also value another person, but that's in terms of the way that the maths works it out, it's because it's reciprocal. It's kind of more like gratitude. You're not judging another person, you're showing gratitude for them. We'll deal with that another time. That's another system. But this system is just to do with evaluation. Now there's two things that you can value. You can value a thing in the past, as I've described, a thing that's actually already happened, something that's been done, so you can judge it if you want to judge it, or evaluate it in that way. Or it's a future project. And it's a judgment of some kind or other, but it's of a potential. And therefore, it's more of your evaluation of what you think it's going to be. Okay, it's not something that you can just experience. You know, eat the apple, chomp, 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 where's my apple? Oh, there it is, I'll go get my apple. Okay, rather sporty, rather soft, but genuine, organic, and grown right here in Peak District. Peak District in Yorkshire in UK. So you can bite this and you go, oh, okay, I like it, don't like it. Now, if I want to plant more trees, then I'm going to actually have to evaluate, and other people have discussion about it. The value that I have towards planting new trees or getting fruit next year and so on and so forth depends on what I think, depends on my relationship to people working together to achieve that objective. Okay, and that's a different psychology, different social engagement, and presumably different maths. However, right now, it doesn't matter if it's actually a thing in the past or the future. What we do is we apply a value to it. I don't even want to describe it as being gratitude or thanks or judgment or anything like that, or aim or anything like that. Let's just put a value to it. Just in the same way with the thanks, you can kind of put a value to it. Different psychology, okay? I haven't actually differentiated it. That's why I'm yapping about this, is because I haven't differentiated this. Just want to go for this. Okay, you're going to give it a value. Okay. Now, in our current social media, what we have is usually a thumbs up, thumbs down. It used to be like 5 stars. A long time ago, ancient history. When YouTube began, it was 5 stars. But they worked out that people either just evaluate it or they don't. And Facebook had that. They just worked out. People just go, liked it. Can't be bothered if there's anything else. Okay. However, that digital thing, if you actually notice on YouTube, it's always about 1%. Always 1% like. And you think, is that true? Is that true? Is it really 1% of people in nearly all videos across any subject, it's 1% of the people like it? Or is that just a little artificial thing that Google do? Now, we don't do that. Okay, with our system, we actually do think that your valuations, what you actually do, is actually important. Okay, because it indicates to other people that you know where you stand with what you evaluate. You would have thought this is important. Okay, it is important. And this is how I'm going to show how I think it can actually work. Okay, but this is just my guess. I don't even know if I'm actually going to be sending this out to anybody. This is how I think it can evolve. I've been thinking about this for years. Okay, if you have a scale of 0 to 10, okay, there are different kind of qualities that you can actually bring to that. Different thresholds of meaning and understanding. And because of the fact that we've got various functions, so even in social media, you kind of like something, but do you like it enough to share it? Okay, so that's why they just said, do you like it? Okay, fine, then share it. And that's like your next function. And that's why we've got the functions at the bottom. You value it and share it, and support it, or, you know, it's fairly obvious, all right? But what we're trying to do is just give us a little bit more flavor to the value, okay, so that people, we can really you know, it's like the apple. You really want to like taste the apple, okay? And we really do want to engage each other's values. I do, okay, for a fact. So if I share something with somebody and they've given it a 0, okay, that means that they may not have even valued it at all, okay? They've not valued it. It means they haven't even looked at it, okay? Or if they have looked at it, okay, no, it's just like they haven't watched it. Or if they have looked at it, actually, they've looked at it, but they haven't even bothered to value it. Okay, they haven't even bothered to value. That's how bad it is. Okay, they're just not interested. It's definitely the negation, it's not. Now, if that's the case, okay, I'm not going to do anything to them. Okay, they've not done anything, I'm not going to do anything to them. I was wrong to give it to them. They can keep the money. Now, whatever it is that's come through me, whatever it is that I like, what is given to me, and I pass forward to this person, it's going to stop with them. That's it. Okay, fine. If they're given a value 1 to 4, they're kind of indicating to me, well, it's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not good. Okay, it's like, you know, it doesn't really interest me. Okay, I've looked at it, it's not really my thing. So I was wrong. I was wrong in sharing with them. Okay, because I thought they were going to like it, right? But if they've given it a 1 to 4, it's like, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to bother you. If they've given a 5 to 7, okay, then they like it. Okay, it's great, they like it. And that's good to know. Okay, and they might have shared it. Okay, they might have shared it. Okay, I'm just going to go straight for the values. 8 to 9 means that they like it a lot. They like it a lot. Now, I might, okay, let's forget about what I think about it so far. But they actually, 8 to 9, wow, they really do like this thing. They think it's like amazing, it's really good. And 10 means, oh man, they already know this. This is them. This is for them. This is by them. They've been thinking about this themselves. They've created something like this. This is like, you know, they are at one with the content creator. Okay, they are the content creator. Okay. It's like, okay, it's 10. Wow, okay, great. Now, that's their values. Now, what they do and what their values are is not just a fixed thing, because they compare to my values. Okay, everything gets a little bit tricky, yeah, when you do this reflexive surface stuff. So, so this is what I'm suggesting we should do. Okay, these are the actions related to these values. Now, in order to try and introduce this, I'm going to kind of link it into the idea of lessons, you know, this idea of the love lessons or the 3 lessons, because that's where all this kind of like made sense to me. So I'm just going to interject with that. So if somebody has not even experienced it, then it's null. Okay, they've not watched it at all. Okay, if however they've watched it and they didn't think it's any good, okay, they've just left it at 0. Okay, so that's that option there. They've watched the thing, the first thing you've given them. So if I give a love lesson, all right, that's the 3 or less lessons, and I've given them the first lesson, and they go, this is not good. Okay, I'm not interested. Fine, leave it at 0. Right, just not interested. I'm not going to keep the money. That's it. Fine. But if they do think it's good, okay, it means they want to watch the next one, and that's the action that they're going to perform. They're going to watch the next thing. So I watch something, and I go, ooh, this is actually pretty good. Yeah, okay, I'm interested in watching the next one. And I might even watch the whole set, okay? But I'll definitely watch the next one, okay? And at that stage, after watching that, what I should be doing is valuing it, okay? I should actually take the time to go, actually, this is pretty good. I've got a little value. I think it's this. Okay, what are these? I think it's amazing. I think it's, This is what I do. All right. This is like amazing. This is really good. This is good. This is good. It's not so good. It's not so good. Okay. And if it's not so good, okay, I'm not going to watch the rest of it. I'm not going to watch the rest of it. What I might do is share it. I might actually share it. Why? I don't really want to watch the next part of this, tango. It's not for me. It's not for me. Thank you very much. I don't do that. But I'll share it forwards with somebody who I think might like it. Okay, it cuts me out of the equation. I'm going to explain why that is important afterwards. Okay, because it is kind of weird that you share, all right, even though you've given a 1 to 4. It's not for me. I'm not going to watch the next thing. But I'm going to just push it forwards. That is really important. Okay, in a social context. It doesn't make sense for me as an individual, but it does if other people are doing the same kind of action. This is like a trust thing. Okay, it's in service for others. It's being generous, basically, with your time. And certainly, anyway, I'll go into it. But I mean, at the basic levels, a friend's given me this thing. They thought I'd like it. I actually didn't. I think it's a 3. Okay, I'm not going to do this type of thing. But they've given me money. Okay, and they value it. For me to keep it, I think it's absurd. For me to keep the money, that's a bit rude. That's a bit rude. So I'm going to share it forwards. Who do I think is going to like tango? Boom! Okay, it's gone. And the money goes with it. Okay, I'm out. Okay, don't bother me again. Okay, and they won't. They won't bother you. But if it is good, and I watch the second one, basically at the end of the second one, the action that's decided there, if I like it, and I think it's really good, and I want the next one, okay, is share it. At this point, you definitely should be sharing. Okay. So after watching the second one, you definitely should be sharing because you think it's good. Now, you should be sharing it as if you did a 1 to 4, and you might be sharing it a second time because if you do it a second time, it's virality. Okay, if you share it, if you think it's a 1 to 4, you don't actually like it, but you share it forwards, it connects up people. We'll explore that in a second. But if you thought it was actually good, okay, then, 5 to 7. You've watched the second one. You're like, oh, okay, great. I'm watching the second one. It's good. Right, okay. Then share it. Okay. And you should be sharing it with more than one person. And if you do that, it means you're adding your own credits. You're kind of buying it and giving it to a second person. You're not buying it. You're basically sharing it with another person. And that's why you're putting the money in. To go, I think this is actually pretty good. Who do I know? One person, 2 people. And as soon as you do 2 people, it's into virality, right? Did I talk about that in the first one? You'll be finding out. Right, no, I'll be finding out. You've already seen it. Right, but let's say that you've seen the second one, great, and you've decided to share it. So that's an action. And if you remember, if you connect it up with other things that I've talked about reflexive reading, and we're talking about the first, the second, and the third social act. And the first social act is to recognize, hey, we're here together. The second social act, and everybody that's watching this is at this moment now. The second social act is, how did I actually get this in my hands? How does somebody else get it in their hands? And we're doing this thing called organic sharing. Okay, and that's what we're suggesting for 2. So after the first one, you'd be like, okay, I'm interested in the next one personally. Okay, so that you've made the connection's there with the content, with the person, with the other people that are watching it, fantastic, or reading it, or whatever the content is. The second one means, let's do the second social fact. Let's actually organically share this, just in the same way that the person's given this to me, because they thought that I actually liked it. I actually do, and that's why I'm taking part in sharing it. Okay, so that organic, that second social fact is in operation. Okay, after the second one. And then the third one, whatever that is, hopefully it brings it all together. It's either a third piece and then you have to combine them all, like a tango or algebra. Or it's a third thing on a linear structure and it ends with that, whatever it is. And at the end of that, you'll say, oh, okay, I like that. If I haven't shared already, if I'm valued, then value. If I haven't shared, then share. And also support. That's useful too. The support is very, very useful because it indicates to other people that you actually, and support means give money to the content creator so they can carry on and produce more stuff, the next thing, whatever lesson that they've actually got planned, or if they're going to forward it to another bunch of people to produce the next thing after their lesson. So for example, I could do, I'm a kind of mid-level player, so I've got these love lessons that are quite short. People do them and it gets them up and plays at a certain mid-level of experience, whether it happens to be Go or algebra or learning language or whatever it is, okay, or Sqale or whatever it is. But then there are other people that get into really the nitty gritty, or they've worked something else out, which is amazing, and they definitely deserve the money flow. Okay, so that's the whole point about support is, it's the feed forwards. It's not to pay for the person like me right now. No, I've produced this. This is it. I've paid for my food. I've eaten. I'm okay. So I don't need the money from me now. But at some point or other in the future, money supports come my way. I'll go, oh, okay, great. And who amongst the people that actually like my stuff, thought it was a 10? Why? A person, Tango thought it was a 10. It's like, okay, who are they? Oh my God, the Tango teachers. Oh, okay, right, okay. What are they trying to do? Why are they resonating with what I'm talking about? Oh, okay, right. And maybe they've got a plan or a project, and I can support them. So where are we? Right. So that's what the third one is: support and do them all. All right. So now that's how that fits in. Do you see? So if you have and this moves the entire system forwards just by evaluating. Okay, the whole notion that you don't just go, oh, here's nothing, oh, here's nothing, here's nothing, oh, pfft. And it's just like spoon feeding, and then people are producing content, other people are just consuming it, and nobody knows what's valuable, not valuable. This does, okay, because it ties in the first and second social fact, and the third, if we start doing a bit of maths on it, okay. So I really like this idea of the lot lessons, and I'm talking myself into it because I haven't actually done it. All right, I plan to. Okay, I've written them up a while ago, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, quite a lot of them, and I just haven't acted on them. And okay, let's do that because I'm interested in doing it. And I like this idea of doing 3 lessons. And you do one, and then you do the second, you do the third. And this structure of the value and the sharing fits that. So the first one is basically, yeah, I connect with it, I want to watch the second. That's your decision. But on the second one, if you watch that, then basically you have to honor, how does this work? How is this going to get out there? And that's definitely share. Okay? So that really makes sense to me. And I think, hopefully it'll make sense to you. Okay, rank this. Now, what time are we on? We're on 17. Okay, right. A little bit more on this. Just a little bit more on this. What's the social function? The social function of this is that when you're giving an indicator to other people, so whenever you experience something, you go, oh, this is not for me. Oh, good. Oh, amazing. This is me. All right. You're giving that indication to others, so other people can be influenced by that. Okay. The people who know you and people who don't, or the actual content creator. Socially, third order cybernetic, the third social fact. What's the point of all of this? Is that if it's 0, basically it stops. I've given it to somebody, they haven't even looked at it. Or if they have looked at it, they haven't valued it. Okay, it's just dead. Now, if they do that, something stops with them. I'm going to go into it in a little bit of detail now, because it's to do with accountability. Now, that's a big word, right? Accountability is a major issue in terms of that's why our current economy and politics works. Okay, because there's somebody in a hierarchy and there's a position and they are responsible. Okay, they are accountable. People actually doing the thing is responsible for whatever they're doing, but then other people in the hierarchy above them are accountable for making sure that the people are actually doing their jobs. And so there's a way to check. And so it's like a governance system. Okay, the accountability. Now, if you have, if you put this on its side, I don't know if I've done this elsewhere. Okay, but what happens is if we put this on its side, I don't know if I've done this. So that person gives to that person, and that person, and that person gives to that person, that gives to that person, that gives to that person, so forth. Okay, and so on. That person gives to that person. That person gives to that person. Oh, this person is a super person. He's giving it to all these people. All right. Now that's really good. And if these carry on and give, okay. And however, what happens is this person doesn't share it forwards. Now, it stops. It stops. And maybe I should come back to this. Okay, well, I'll stick with this. It's quite. This is actually a deep thing. We'll go back to this, which is a bit lighter, but this is deep stuff. Now, the problem with this structure is that if, for whatever reason, in a hierarchy, the people that are actually in those power hierarchies, in those positions of responsibility and accountability, they ignore something, the structure remains the same. They don't lose their jobs, okay, if they kind of just ignore it. If they give it a 0, they just dismiss it. Okay, as soon as they engage it, it gets problematic. It gets problematic. This person did accept whatever it was that was shared with them. Okay, if they did, then they are responsible. Okay, for doing something with it. Share it forwards. But they didn't. Okay, now because they accepted it and then they didn't share it forwards, they've accepted some money. And money is the thing that's to do with accountability. Even in our current world, we pay people for their position and role, okay, to make sure they're accountable. Like government people are actually paid money to make sure that they are not seduced by lobbies of power players in business. But of course they are, because they're only paid, 70k or whatever it is, 150k. Even the Prime Minister is complaining about, in Britain, is complaining about how little money he gets paid, because basically people are coming to him and, they're making decisions about billions, okay? And of course, they're being paid, large amounts of money and getting jobs afterwards and promised roles and giving talks for hundreds of thousands of pounds just to give a talk for an hour and all this kind of stuff. All these very odd things are happening, okay, in this structure. But we do have accountability, and they are public figures, and we should be able to hold them to account. We have journalism, ideally, that holds them to account. However, it can quite easily, if you are powerless, you're a nobody, and you're trying to appeal to this organisation to do something, you don't have a hierarchy, you're just a little person, the chances are you'll be dismissed. You might have experienced this, I think we all have experienced this at some point in our lives, probably when we were younger, but so just relate to that. Whereas in this one, fine, they've done that. Now we don't have a hierarchy, okay, so therefore there's nothing that can happen beyond that. Okay, we can poke them, okay, we can kind of say, oh, please share it, please, okay, but actually they've just chosen to do nothing, and our response, I don't think we should do anything, okay, because it starts getting into a hassle, okay. If somebody hasn't looked at it, they haven't looked at it, okay, they haven't even bothered with it, fine, okay, we remember that. You might want to remind them, you might want to say, oh, have you actually looked at that thing? They may have forgotten, but that's more for a bit later. That's more for somebody who's valued it 5 to 7 and haven't shared it. Then you might go, oh, excuse me, have you shared it forward? Oh yeah, I forgot something else. Somebody rang the phone, I forgot. Right, I'll share it. Right. Or support. Have you supported that? Oh no, I haven't supported. Okay, right. And so there's like gentle reminders. And so, if this person's given it that person, this person might go, look, have you... Oh, they haven't. Oh, they can't be bothered. They're not even replying. That's a bit odd. Okay? And it stops the thing from happening. This person has no power. Okay, you can help them, poke them, we can kind of bother them, but really, quite frankly, that's the wrong way about it. What we can do, just in the same way we can with this structure, is you manifest some social power. So you get a whole bunch of people, you get some kind of petition, and you get 10,000, 100,000, 1 million people signing this petition, and then you go back to this person and say, look, 1 million people, listen, you're in a government position, so you should do something about it. Or maybe it's consumers, and you've got some kind of action going on a campaign so that you don't buy their product, and that person goes, oh, crikey, it's actually biting into our profits, I better do something about it. Now, all of that requires quite a lot of effort, and it's still playing into their power game, the structure. Whereas, what we're interested in is this, which is just distribution, it's just us, it's just individual, person-to-person sharing. However, if it is important, okay, it's something to do with water shortages, something to do with, pollution, something to do, what was it, something I just read yesterday, the seed, they're seeding clouds with silver nitrate. Okay, it's like, wow, that's like a hassle and a half. Because, the pollution, potentially it's going to be the equivalent of DDT that happened in America in the 60s, 70s, 40s, 50s, 70s, I don't know when it was, but in the last century, and I think they're doing that now in China. It's going to be a nightmare, and other countries. I think they stopped it in the US. But it's a disaster, okay? So, why I was talking about that. Why was I talking about that? Can you remember? No. Okay. Back to the train of thought. Back onto the train of thought, everybody. Back onto the train of thought. So we're on this. Okay. PP, we're off. This person. Now, if... Oh yes, that was it. It's difficult to manifest all the effort required to get all the petitions to stop people doing things if they're in these big hierarchies, okay, and they've got power and so on and so forth. However, in our system, we're just person to person, and these people are sharing, fantastic, and they all keep on sharing, and it goes on, and we've got like 1 million people, okay, or 1 million equivalent pounds, okay. We've got the money, we've got the thing. We actually are manifesting whatever it is that's required to be able to do whatever it is that equivalent that company does. Okay, that's the whole point about what we're doing, especially with projects. We're saying, is this a good idea? Let's plant some trees. Great, okay, let's share that. Okay, let's generate the money, find the people. All right, this person is part of the Woodlands Trust. That person is part of some kind of network, television network. Another person down there is to do with computers, networks, and so on and so forth. And so we generate the money, we give it to them, or some of it to them, in order to develop a project, so we end up planting more trees. Okay, fantastic. So it operates like this, but it's all just being co-created as we are going forwards, with the money flow, with the number of people interested as we go forward, and the skills that are within our network. But there's no accountability in that, okay? Apparently. However, who's this person? Now, if it was just a person, it's just like, boo, boo, you didn't take part in this thing. You took the money, which could have been used to plant more trees. Boo to you. And, we could maybe, over time go, right, people superimpose how active you are or not, and so on and so forth. But basically, there's a little bit of like, you took the money. I mean, that's a bit naff. You should just share it forward and say, right, I'm not interested in trees, I'll just pass forward money, okay? And that's what this guy did. I'm not that interested in trees, I'll just pass it forward. This guy really was, though, and obviously this guy really was, all right? But this guy was like, well, I'm not really interested, 1 to 4, but passed it on. This guy went, well, can't be bothered. Took the money. But what happens if that person is that person? That person is in the hierarchy. This person's like, oh, I know somebody that's actually in this kind of like political organisation, part of the department of government or something or other. I'm going to share it with that person who's their secretary, just their secretary, or their brother, or somebody that's related to them. Okay, and they pass it forward, going, have a look at this, and then this person looks at it and goes, oh, and just does the dismissing thing, thinking that it's only this person, so it's a friend, it's only somebody, it's not really important. I'm not going to deal with it. Okay, fine. If nothing else happened, that would be it. That would just be like the standard approach to the hierarchy. But because we've done it this way, and we are actually running along like this, it could be that money, we say, oh, we'd like to give it to you guys. However, that person didn't do anything. So we're going to give you the money, maybe, to do this thing that this structure could be, let's build some trees. It's the Woodland Trust. Maybe that person's in the Woodland Trust. And they ignored it. I mean, Christ. Okay, and so when you go back to them, maybe either we create the same result of the Woodland Trust, or we actually do approach the Woodland Trust and say, look, our network did actually approach you, and that person there, who's meant to be the person I think that goes forwards on this, didn't. And therefore, we have social power to affect that institution. Not only to do it and do a replacement, but to actually improve the efficiency of this hierarchy. And say, look, that person didn't do it. That person there, all right, fire them. And you think, wow, that's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh. Well, that's exactly. So next time, when somebody, imagine at this point, another time, this person gets this kind of petition or whatever it is, not petition, request or good idea, they actually have to check. They have, like everybody else, they just have to check. And they say, if they've checked it, and it's not really for them, 1 to 4, pass it on. Just like a human being. Say, oh, look, it's not really, at least then, if that person's also in the department or something, they'll say, like, well, I passed it on. It wasn't part of my department, I didn't think, so I passed it on. Okay, fine. And the whole point about that is it connects. Okay, it connects. So even without the hierarchy, it connects up people. So that person there, I don't really like it, but I passed it on, but they did. Right, and that person did. Right, good. Okay, and it means, sorry to jump back out to a slightly higher level, is that that person might have given it a 1 to 4. Okay, 1 to 4. Okay, but did pass it on. You know, I'm not going to go forwards on it, but I'll pass it on and I'm out. This person gave it, I don't know, an 8. Okay, great, and that person gave it a 9. So next time, when they're doing something else, which is related in some shape or form, nope. My computer has died. Okay, not that I ever check. But that person's given it a 9, that person's given it an 8, and that means the next time, that person will give that something to that person, because they know, hey, that person likes, stuff to do with trees. That person didn't really, that person does. Okay, great. Or a piece of music, or an article, or whatever it is. Okay? And similarly, on another product, or another process, or project, this person gives another project, that person gives something else, I don't know, a 3. But because they understand the process, they'll pass it forwards to somebody else, who might then give it a 10. A 10. And that's, right, and that person might give it a 10, and that person give it a 10. So it's given it this person, thought it was a 3, passed it on, great. And it makes them come together. So what we're doing is we're helping people connect and come together. Okay. So even if you think 1 4 it's not for me, by sharing, you're kind of cutting yourself out, allowing the money to flow. Okay, it connects up and allows the money to flow, and find the people that it's actually valuable. Okay. Okay, now that took a little while. That took 15 minutes. Okay, I probably should have left accountability for something else. Let's carry on with this though for a little bit longer.